Good afternoon, YouTubers. This is your zip code for Reek. Matt Shiny here in the 92805 zip code in the ZCF studios in Southern California on this Saturday, April 18th. And today is an overview of the state of Maine. M-A-I-N-E is how it's spelled. The northeasternmost state in the United States, the largest state in New England by area. It's almost as large as the other 5 states put together. 30,845 square miles of land. And with the water totals 35,380 square miles. 39th it ranks in size among the states. 1.4 million people there, more or less. 42nd among the 50 states. Maine was settled by white people from Europe starting in 1691, eventually displacing, with the exception of a few tribal lands here and there in the state that are still there, surprisingly, which we'll talk about in the zip codes to come. Which, by the way, anything in Maine will be starting with 039 and going through 049. So that's the range, the sectional center facility numbers of the zips. And it came into the Union on March 15th, 1820. Before that, it was part of the state of Massachusetts, kind of separated from it by New Hampshire's coastline. And it also has area code 207, which it's had since 1947, and will not need replenishing or replace or overlay or cutting into another area code until at least 2050. So, and the Maine Public Utilities Commission has worked to make sure that this happens that way. There are 418 demographic zips here as of 2026 where people actually live, among others that are used for P.O. boxes and special institutions and whatnot. Maine is the only states that are farther north than Maine are the northern parts of Washington, Idaho, Montana, North Dakota, and Minnesota. It's a transition area where your normal hardwood forests, like made of oak and maple and those trees, begin to give way to pine trees and spruce and fir, things that can deal with harsher, colder winters, which Maine has in abundance, of being from latitude 43 north to latitude 47 north. In fact, the 45th parallel, which is halfway between the equator and the North Pole, runs right through Maine, right through the middle of it. It looks like a big Arby's, half of an Arby's hat on the top of the eastern part of the nation. So, kind of makes me think of that. And 88.1% of the land area of Maine is forest. Much of it's wilderness, privately owned even. Although there's some state parks and this and that and the others, and preserves, national preserves. People here are called Downeasters, and the state is known as the Pine Tree State. No, duh. Much of its livelihood has been through, where it's not agriculture, which is not that easy to do here, has been through tourism and lumber, and also mining in some cases. As for the folks that live here, it's one of the whitest states in the Union. Now, folks, I don't think that means lack of diversity. It just there's different kinds of white people out there. Lots of different, folks from different parts of Europe, etc. But as it is, 93.2% white, 2.5% black, 2.4% Hispanic, 2.0% two or more races, 1.5% Asian, 0.7% American Indian, and less than 0.05% Pacific Islander. I guess they need Filipinos up there to start opening shops for ube and stuff. Get moving, folks. Capital is Augusta, largest city is Portland, and we're going to be doing 9 zip codes out of Maine for this show, and most of them are probably going to be rural. I don't know that we're going to be doing anything about really Portland or Augusta or Bangor per se, except to talk about how far X is from whatever zip code we're doing is from any of those places as an idea. More people live in the southern coast and the southwestern parts of the state anyway. The state is more or less in a southwest northeast slant if you look at it on a map, and more people live along the coast and especially in the southern part of the state, because the northern part of the state gets really cold and lots of snow for the winter, the good old 18 to 20 feet of it, and the highest point's just shy of a mile high, Mount Katahdin, there in the northern part of the state. It borders, is the only state to border one other state, and that's New Hampshire to the southwest. It has the Atlantic coastline to the east and southeast. To the east and northeast, it borders the Canadian province of New Brunswick, and to the north and northwest, it borders Quebec, also in Canada. So that's the state of Maine for you, and we'll be going at it for the next 9 shows. Uh, if you like, hit like for the show. If you don't, hit don't. Leave a comment regardless, and we'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.